So I think Ishrun is going to just post some questions to me, and I'll just talk at you for a bit. If that works for everyone. Sorry for all the technical issues. Not sure what exactly is happening. But as you saw in the description, my name is Brian Anderson. I co-founded an organization here in the United States called Fathering Together. We began as a Facebook community called Dads with Daughters, and that community is global now. We have over 125,000 members. And as the group grew, we saw a lot of needs from our dads asking for guidance and support. And so now we are a nonprofit creating resources and discussion groups and whatnot to help our members grow as fathers. And it's been wonderful. It's been exhausting, but it's been so wonderful to get the exhausting part, I should say, is just getting us up and running logistically. But it's been so rewarding because the friendships I've made around the world have just been so fulfilling to me as a person, but also as a father. And the types of questions we get run the full spectrum from, early age, like how are we getting our kids to sleep and are we giving them good nutritious food, to how are we talking about, going to school and dating and preparing for college and university. So it's a really diverse group, lots of questions that are constantly being raised, but also lots of feel-good stories and celebrating accomplishments, like when our kids graduate from school or get on to a sports team that they've been wanting to be a part of. So it's been great. And how has your community changed the dynamic of parenting? So in the United States, the kind of the default mindset is that moms stay at home or moms are the primary caregiver. But there are a lot of dads who are choosing to stay at home and work on the family rather than working in an office. And pre-COVID hitting, just over a year ago, we had a lot of parents either both working or dad staying at home or dad staying, in a kind of a co-leadership capacity. And with COVID now, during this past year, we've seen a lot of women return to the home and men staying in the workplace. And that shift in that conversation is often ongoing in our groups, where people are looking for strategies on how to balance working at home, being a good parent, how to stay safe during the pandemic. And given how diverse the responses to the pandemic have been country to country, we've been able to really get insights from people around the world on how they're navigating parenting and how they're able to stay present to their kids, even though we're all under very stressful situations. So it's been an interesting year, to say the least. But overall, since we've been around for 3 years, the shift that we've seen is really one of empowering dads to be present at home and really taking up the tasks of the unpaid labor of being home, being present with their family, supporting their children developmentally, helping them with schoolwork, all of those things that really help dads and children bond. Okay, next question. How important is the role of a father in parenting? Is it often overlooked? So, as I was saying, many communities here in the United States, or not communities rather, but many families have kind of this default that men should be working and women should be in the home and being the homemaker or the stay-at-home parent. And that dynamic has really shifted in certain spaces, but in other spaces it's staying the same. And, it looks like it's working, Ishrun. I see you nodding and smiling. So if you can hear me, that's great. Okay, maybe all the kinks have worked out. So one of the things that we do in our groups is really challenge dads to think about how they are showing up for their families and how are they doing the work internally to being a better communicator, better at being emotionally supportive to their children, helping them build that resiliency, helping them build skills so that they can really thrive in school, thrive in sports, thrive in whatever endeavor that they're trying to accomplish. But if dads are feeling that they are not welcomed or not as critical to the family, that's terrible. And we want to work against that. We want dads to feel like they are critical to the life of their children, because research shows that the more dads are engaged, the more that they're active in the lives of the children do much better in school. They have a stronger sense of self-worth, that they really want to grow and be better in the world. And when dads are absent, we see kids engaging in riskier behavior, disconnecting from school, not wanting to engage in activities with their families. And so fathers play a really critical role, and that's often not highlighted as much. And that's a shame. And so we're, as a nonprofit, Fathering Together is really trying to build resources, but also push some policy reform here in the United States to say, hey, let's step up, let's celebrate fathers, let's make sure that they're not overlooked, but that they are a critical part of the life of the child, but also a critical part of the family. Because if you've got two parents at home, even if you're not married, we have a lot of parents in the United States who are divorced, but are still active in the lives of their children. And so when you have two parents, then they're able to balance that workload at home. It's not just up to the mom or the dad to do all the house chores, to make all the meals, but there's some balance that can happen there. So one parent could be helping with the tutoring, helping with schoolwork, what have you, while the other parent prepares meals, or doing laundry and cleaning the house. That can be shared between fathers and mothers. But also, as kids get older, giving them some responsibility to step up and be kind of a leader in the household and helping navigate, some of those chores. What parenting hurdles fathers face, and how does your community assist them? So some of the challenges that we often see are around communication and support. And as I was saying earlier, some dads just aren't feeling as connected to their kids because they're working maybe a job, two jobs. They're not present at home as much. And so we really try to reinforce the knowledge that we have that being present in the lives of their children has a huge impact on their children's health, especially their mental health. And so providing resources, bringing in experts from, from colleges and universities, or therapists and psychologists that do research on developing child identity work, etc. We really try to reinforce and educate our dads that it's so critical to be present in the lives of their children. And when you're struggling with that, if you're not sure what to do, come to us. And we are not, as an organization, a trained medical professional. We have partners that we do send folks to, but we are a great peer-to-peer resource. And so for those dads that are struggling, just make a post. And generally speaking, we get hundreds of responses, reactions, what have you, to help dads find the right solution for them. Because I often remind people that there's no one right way to be a dad. Every child is just a little bit different and needs different skills and attention from us as fathers. And so having a resource library of over 100,000 dads to come to your aid when you're not sure how to respond to a situation is really critical and supportive in that way. And then when it needs to be a bit more mental health or more professional help is needed, we can get you to those communities of support in whatever capacity we need to do them in. The one thing that we're developing right now, actually, and we're fundraising here in the United States to raise funds for more group programs. So once or twice a month, we'll do a Zoom call that's just free. Anybody can show up, and we just ask questions of one another. And about 15 or 20 guys will show up and just have a general conversation about how they're navigating fatherhood. And those have been wonderful and supportive, but some dads are needing that extra help. And so we're launching a coaching program at the end of this month with trained facilitators to help dads really think through their vision of fatherhood, who they want to be, how they want to be present for their children, and coaching them in those daily habits to be better present, better active, and help them find the right skills and resources when they need that extra help. And that's something we haven't done in the past, but we're looking forward to helping with that. We do have a lot of so the question is, how present is the conversation on single fathers? How do you facilitate them? So we have every type of father in our group. We don't say no to anyone, but unless someone kind of acknowledges that they're a single father, we don't have any way of knowing per se. But we do have quite a few dads who are single dads who are doing everything on their own. And we've got some dads in the group who kind of take some leadership in supporting those dads and responding to them as needed. In our leadership team, a group of moderators that we have, we call them our wellness team. And they will reach out when someone post something that is a cry for help, whether they're kind of depressed or having some really dark thoughts. We will have guys that reach out, and that is led by a single dad who has tragically lost a daughter in childbirth and then lost another daughter recently. And so he's experienced a lot of pain and heartache, but is an amazing father, is resilient as all get out, and is really helpful in connecting with dads and helping them through really tough situations. With single dads specifically, since he is a single father, he'll also connect one-on-one and get them to resources, provide them some kind of activity guides and helpful tips on how to balance work and children's lives. So work and the child's kind of schoolwork or activities, music lessons, sports clubs, etc., helping them build some kind of systems and daily checklists, so to speak, so that they can be present and accountable both at work and at home. But we don't have a specific subgroup per se to help with single dads just yet, but that's something on my radar as we continue to build our community. Parenting advice or observations. So I think the biggest thing that I always remind dads is to be present is the most critical thing we can do. And obviously we have to work, we have things we need to do. But when we're present with our children, leaving our cell phone aside, not having a TV on or things distracting us, but to really get down on their children's level and play a game or color or, do some silly artwork or just go for a walk and really listen to the children that you're raising and say, I'm here for you. I want to know who you are as a person because you're very special to me. And I don't want you to feel like you're not special to me. And so that presence is so critical. And the actions that we have in those moments are just as critical. We might say, it's so important to brush our teeth or to get a solid, night's sleep. But if our actions are different, if we don't brush our teeth or if we're not sleeping well, or if we're constantly angry, our kids are going to pick up on that anger, pick up on the hypocrisy that we're doing, and they're going to follow our actions instead of our words. And so if we want our children to be strong and resilient, we have to show that in ourselves and in our actions. If we want them to not get angry and have a meltdown over little things, we have to have that same attitude in our actions, not just in our words. And so being present and then recognizing our actions are more important than our words are two of the biggest pieces of advice that I have for new dads that join the group or dads that I'm working with. But also just as importantly, I always remind dads to have fun with their kids, so often, especially in this pandemic, at least in the communities I'm a part of, we're so stressed out about getting things right, about doing everything right, staying safe, and not, not doing something wrong, or making a mistake and then not being able to provide food on the table for our children. And these stressors are real and are very critical that we have the means to protect our children and to give them food when they need it. But we also need to remember to have fun and to create space to just be silly and dance or be foolish, make up silly games or make up silly stories, because our kids need to be able to relate to us and know that they can trust us and love us. And so, having the presence is critical to help them grow and teach them to be, wonderful human beings and grow up to be great adults, but also to have fun with that and to allow for some joy in the midst of the stress is so critical. Are there any other questions, Ishmoon? Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. Madiha, I completely agree. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but yes, why we started Fathering Together was to create a space for dads to get support amongst other dads and to allow for dads to be vulnerable. So often, we're raised to be tough and strong and competitive and be a corporate leader or, just rise to success in our workspaces, but we forget that we're still human beings, and we forget that we need to sometimes ask questions to be better and to learn. And so creating spaces for dads to connect to other dads and ask those vulnerable questions and be comfortable crying, because yes, men cry, dads cry a lot. Allowing a space for that to be real and to help connect on that human to human level is so critical for dads. And even in a group as large as our Dads with Daughters community that's over 100,000 dads, we get dads posting very vulnerable things, asking for very critical information, especially if it's a single dad raising a daughter. They want to know about puberty and when a period happens and menstruation, and those are things that dads don't just talk about out publicly without a lot of kind of cajoling and support. And so the more we can create a space where dads can be uplifted and supported by asking those questions, the better. And the more we can allow for open dialogue rather than sarcasm or put downs or any sort of like negative treatment. Yeah, and often we don't think to ask for help. So right on. And I think that's true across the globe, and we're working to kind of change that attitude amongst men, at least in our spaces, and creating a vulnerable, safe space for that kind of exchange. But again, sorry for the technical issues. I am so glad that you all exist and would love to work with you all in creating a dad community in Pakistan. We'll follow up Ishmoon for sure, and Ramadan Kareem for all of those as well. I hope you all have a blessed celebration month ahead, and I wish you all the best as you navigate parenthood together as well. Yep, and thank you, Ishmoon, and I'll be around, so let me know how I can be of further service. I'm on Facebook quite often, so feel free to shoot me a direct message, and we'll help dads be better dads all around the world. So peace, everyone. Thank you so much.